Ever wondered why you ended up buying something you didn't really need? Well, it's not always about your willpower, it's often the art of persuasion at play. Companies around the globe have mastered this art, subtly influencing your decisions every day. In this exploration we'll delve into intriguing case studies, unearthing the clandestine strategies behind the Apple phenomenon, the Amazon rush, the Instagram influence, and the Costco samples. Stay tuned to discover the hidden tactics companies use to persuade you. Think about the last time you considered buying an Apple product. Was it the sleek design, the cutting-edge technology, or perhaps the brand's reputation that drew you in? But what about the price? Did it give you a pause? And yet, didn't it also somehow make you perceive the product as more valuable? That, my friends, is a classic example of a psychological strategy known as anchoring. Anchoring is the concept where your initial exposure to a number or price serves as a reference point and influences your subsequent judgments about value. It's akin to throwing an anchor that sets your expectations, and then all other comparisons are made relative to this anchor. So, how does Apple masterfully use anchoring? Well, they release a more expensive model first to set a high anchor price. Remember the launch of the iPhone X? It was Apple's 10th anniversary phone and it came with a hefty price tag. But it didn't just set a new price standard for Apple. It set a new price standard for smartphones in general. Now, when Apple releases a new product, even if it's expensive by typical standards, it seems reasonable in comparison to the high anchor price. Let's say, for instance, Apple releases a new iPhone model for $800. That might seem like a lot, but when you compare it to the $1,000 iPhone X, it suddenly seems like a deal, doesn't it? And it doesn't stop there. Once your brain has established this reference point, it tends to stick. Every time you think about buying a new smartphone, your brain will inevitably compare it to the anchor price set by Apple, making other phones seem cheaper, or making Apple's prices seem reasonable. So the next time you're shopping for a new gadget, be aware of the anchor. Remember, the high price tag is not just a reflection of the product's value, it's a carefully calculated strategy designed to influence your perception of value. And just like that, Apple has subtly persuaded you that their prices are reasonable. Ever felt the urgency to buy because only a few items were left in stock? We've all experienced it, that moment when we're browsing Amazon and we see that dreaded phrase, "Only a few left in stock." Suddenly, our leisurely shopping turns into a mad dash to the checkout. But why? This, my friends, is a classic example of the scarcity principle in action. The scarcity principle is a psychological theory that suggests we place a higher value on things that are scarce, and a lower value on those that are abundant. In other words, when we think something is in short supply, we want it more. Now let's talk about how Amazon cleverly uses this principle. By indicating that an item is nearly out of stock, Amazon creates a sense of urgency. It makes us feel like we need to purchase the product immediately, or we might miss out. And it works. We rush to add the item to our cart and proceed to checkout, often without taking the time to consider if we really need the item or if we're getting the best deal. But it's not just the limited stock indicator that Amazon uses to invoke the scarcity principle. Have you ever noticed the limited time offers that appear on the site? These deals, which are often accompanied by a countdown timer, create a similar sense of urgency. We feel compelled to act quickly, lest we miss out on a great deal. But here's the thing. These tactics aren't always reflective of actual scarcity. Sometimes they're just clever marketing strategies designed to make us act impulsively. So, the next time you're shopping on Amazon and you feel that sense of urgency creeping in, take a moment. Ask yourself if you really need the item, or if you're just feeling the pressure of the scarcity principle. Next time you see only a few left in stock, remember it's a persuasive trick. Have you ever bought something because others were buying it too? It's not just you. It's a psychological phenomenon known as social proof. This concept is the driving force behind the Instagram influence. Social proof is the idea that we humans are likely to follow the actions of the masses. We're social creatures after all, and we often look to others to determine what is correct or desirable. Instagram cleverly utilizes this concept to sway your purchasing decisions. Imagine scrolling through your Instagram feed. You see a post from an influencer you admire, wearing a trendy new outfit from a brand you've never heard of. You see the brand tagged, and you see the thousands of likes and comments praising the look. You're intrigued, you click on the brand's profile, and before you know it, you're adding items to your cart. That's the power of social proof. Influencers play a pivotal role in this process. They are the trendsetters, the ones we look up to. When they endorse a product, it immediately gains credibility. Companies are well aware of this, which is why influencer marketing is such a booming industry. But it's not just about influencers. Instagram also utilizes user reviews and comments as a form of social proof. When you see a product with hundreds or thousands of positive comments, it can be incredibly persuasive. It's like having a crowd of people telling you that a product is great. It's hard to resist that kind of pressure. Instagram has mastered the art of using social proof to influence consumer behavior. It's a subtle yet powerful force that can sway even the most discerning shopper. It's something to be aware of as we navigate our digital lives. So the next time you see a product with thousands of likes, remember it's social proof at work. It's not just a number, it's a psychological nudge, nudging you towards a purchase. And as always, it's important to make informed decisions, not just follow the crowd. Remember when you accepted a free sample and felt obliged to buy? Ah, the power of free samples. A technique that Costco has mastered to perfection. It's always a treat to shop at Costco, isn't it? The aisles are filled with a plethora of products, and then there's the added perk of those delightful little free samples. But have you ever wondered why Costco is so generous with its sampling? Well, it all boils down to a fundamental psychological principle known as reciprocity. In a nutshell, reciprocity is a social norm where if someone does something for you, you feel an inherent obligation to do something in return. This principle is deeply ingrained in us as human beings, and it's something that Costco ingeniously taps into. Imagine this, you're sauntering through the aisles, and you spot a friendly representative offering a free sample of a new gourmet cheese. You gratefully accept, savor the sample, and then you feel it, don't you? That tiny tug of obligation. The feeling that since they've given you something, you should give something back. And so, you end up buying a pack of that gourmet cheese that you never initially intended to purchase. Costco's strategy is simple yet incredibly effective. By giving out free samples, they create a sense of indebtedness in the minds of their customers. And this indebtedness, more often than not, leads to increased sales. It's a subtle art of persuasion, a nifty little trick that works wonders for the retail giant. But let's be clear, there's no harm in enjoying a free sample or two. After all, who doesn't love a good cheese tasting session? But it's always good to be aware of these subtle persuasion techniques. So, the next time you're at Costco, munching on a free sample, just remember, there's a bit of psychology at play. The next time you accept a free sample, remember it's a subtle persuasion technique. It's fascinating how these companies have mastered the art of persuasion, isn't it? Let's take a moment to recap some of the main points we've covered. We discovered how Apple has built an empire on aesthetics and exclusivity, creating a loyal customer base willing to pay premium prices. Then we delved into the Amazon rush, where the concept of limited time offers and one-click buy buttons tap into our fear of missing out, leading us to make impulsive purchases. Next, we explored the Instagram influence, where our favorite celebrities and influencers subtly market products in their posts, making us want to buy the items they're using or promoting. And let's not forget the Costco samples, a brilliant strategy that not only makes us buy more, but also creates a sense of community within their stores. The common thread weaving through all these tactics is an understanding of human psychology. These companies know how to tap into our desires, fears, and even our sense of belonging to sway our purchasing decisions. But now, you've been let in on their secrets. So the next time you find yourself reaching for that shiny new gadget, or adding an item to your online shopping cart, pause for a moment. Consider the invisible strings that might be pulling you towards that purchase. Remember, awareness is the first step towards smarter shopping. Until next time, stay savvy.